Slaves are what comes to many people's minds when thinking about the creation of the Great Pyramids of Giza. How this came to be might be due to the Hollywood stereotype of the Egyptian slave building the pyramid or Herodotus's writings, but that is simply not the case. Neither is the crazy concept that aliens or Atlantis societies built the pyramids because, frankly, that is an insult to ancient Egyptians. The pyramids are still an architectural marvel and part of the so-called 7 wonders of the ancient world. So, scrap all those Hollywood fantasies and conspiracies, and let's delve into how these architectural marvels may have been constructed. As with any history that goes back thousands of years, there are just so many uncertainties about what might have happened nearly 4,500 years ago. What we do know is that one day around 2550 BC, the king Khufu decided to embark on this grand project with his pyramid the largest of the 3. King Khafre soon followed his father's steps and had the second pyramid around 2520 BC. Then finally around 2490 BC. King Menkaure built the final and smallest pyramid. These pyramids were part of the ancient Egyptians' belief in the afterlife, one where they would continue living their life as a king in the great beyond. The location was chosen as it was west of the River Nile, which was of great importance since the ancient Egyptians believed the portal to the afterlife lay where the sun set. It also had to be close enough to the Nile so that necessary supplies could be imported. But not too close, as flooding was a major problem when it came to the Nile. The Great Pyramids were part of a much larger complex that had all the necessary items for the emperor's transition into his afterlife. These buildings and temples were created with the use of a labor force that still has archaeologists' heads spinning. Just imagine this. You're a worker from the southern Nile, perhaps near Luxor in need of work since the peak agricultural season is over. This is when your great and powerful king calls upon you to help with the construction of a new project, with this new project, of course, being the Great Pyramids. It's an amazing opportunity to help your king and find work when it's sparse. You eventually reach Hayt el Ghurab, a town next to where the pyramids will be, and one that will serve the workers of the pyramid for decades to come. Back then, the River Nile flowed through these parts, and it was an excellent spot for receiving the necessities for such a grand project. An average day as a worker may have consisted of waking up in a trench-like barracks with thousands of other workers, with the floor as your only mattress. You wake up to the smell of fresh bread being baked, beer being brewed, and the aromas of food you could have never eaten. The sight of meat is surprising to you, as typically you only ate such things in times of celebration and festivities. Cattle, goats, and sheep were scattered throughout the complex, just waiting to be slaughtered. Then your day starts with the enormous task of hauling stones. After a hard day of work under the brutal desert sun, you head into town and see what is on the menu. Dishes with olive oil and veal are being served, such luxuries most Egyptians rarely see. If you had injured yourself on the job, then there were services to help fix a broken bone, for example. This may seem enticing to the workers of the past, but it was not without difficulties. The sheer manpower needed to move limestone that weighed thousands of pounds or kilograms was immense. Examining the skeletons of some of the workers has shown that their muscles were put under immense stress, and many suffered from arthritis. That was the experience of thousands of Egyptian workers. Not only were workers needed to move the actual limestone blocks, but people from all backgrounds helped to create the pyramids. Bakers, carpenters, chefs, and a multitude more jobs were required to feed the enormous work population. The remains of this enormous project were found southeast of the Menkaure and Khafre complexes. Given that the Egyptian pyramids have survived for over 4,000 years, the estimated time frames of 15 to 30 years that it took to build them seems relatively short. Egyptians had no access to the building techniques or modern machinery of today. Instead, It is thought by Egyptologists that unbelievably vast teams of skilled workers were involved in pyramid construction. Some reports say 20,000 men, others 30,000, while others have guessed even 100,000 workers who used a series of complex sledges, rollers, levers, and ramps. Research still continues into how exactly such incredible structures were made in such short frames of time. Although we may never completely unravel the great mysteries of how long the Egyptian pyramids took to make, there is no doubt they are one of the most fascinating artifacts in the world, offering a window into one of the most complex and sophisticated human civilizations.